إنا أنزلنا عليك الكتاب للناس بالحق فمن اهتدى فلنفسه ومن ضل فإنما يضل عليها وما أنت عليهم بوكيل.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. حياكم الله. حياك الله شيخ عبد الله.
عليك السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Sheikh Khalid, how are you doing, Akhi?
I'm doing okay, alhamdulillah. And yourself?
Yeah,
and family?
Very good, Akhi. Alhamdulillah, everybody's good.
Good, alhamdulillah. وفقنا وإياكم والله يحفظكم. So basically, I wanted to start a series of discussions, minhajiyah, basically. And so this will be the first of those discussions. And in fact, it's probably more of, I'll be sending questions to you and maybe we'll have a little go back and forth and we'll try to make it as concise as we can in the session. So the goal is to invite different students and du'at to the table of discussion about different topics of methodology and creed, minhaj and aqidah. And without further ado, my brother Abdullah Luxembourgi from Luxembourg. And I'm not going to try to describe and pretend like I know exactly where it is. I think it's near Germany. It's a small country. We know it has a significance with in World War II. I think maybe the first shots, or I'm not really sure, but I have to go back to my history books. But anyhow, Abdullah is a student of knowledge, Talib al-Ilm. We met in Yemen, in Hadramaut, in Dar al-Hadith, in Shehr. And so we've got some years between us, alhamdulillah, and presently resides in KSA. So without getting into big introductions and so on and so forth and a lot of other things, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Abdullah.
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh, Akhi Khalid.
So I'll get right into some of the topics. So really the first question, because this is so important for so many of the youth, so many people who are new to the da'wah to Ahl Sunnah, and people who just search it for the truth. How do we know the haqq? How do we know the truth with all the distractions in the da'wah scene? For example, there's so many callers to nationalism. There's so many callers who are just really into entertainment da'wah with high entertainment value and very little ilm. And then there are various people of different creeds and different methodologies. And there are the extremist takfiris and others. So how in the world do the youth discern the truth? What do they need to do?
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. First of all, Akhi Khalid, jazakallahu khairan for inviting me. And wallahi, it's really an honor to be with you and it's an honor to be your first guest, really. Subhanallah, the question that you're mentioning is, as a matter of fact, extremely relevant in this day and age. The noise out there is overwhelming. I remember my days back in Yemen until 5 years ago, where you know the conditions of Yemen. Electricity is not really something stable. Internet, when you do have it, it's extremely weak. There is no way that you're going to spend some time of the day surfing and watching YouTube, etc. Like internet, like the best you can hope for is up and download emails and WhatsApp messages without media, etc. So it was in a way wonderful bliss to be cut away from this hurricane of media content that is being bashed at people and packaged in such a huge diversity of ways. And when I came to Saudi Arabia after fleeing the war, I started getting re-exposed to what's happening in the world. And wallahi, it was overwhelming. My first reaction was to, just block everything out. And then while, hanging out with the people around me, I just started seeing that, hey, I need to understand what's going on. And ever since I've been actually thinking a lot about this particular question that you've asked, and you know, it's extremely important for a Muslim to understand priorities and to understand the levels of proof or reference. All right, you're gonna ask any Muslim from any ta'ifa, with of course exceptions, but on the whole, like the main body of Muslims, you're gonna ask them, what's the reference point? Oh, it's the Quran and the Sunnah. Yeah, as a matter of fact. And some will also throw in there, oh yeah, and you know, the early generations. A lot of people from a very broad spectrum of creed and action, etc., will really mention those kind of things.
Yeah.
So if we all have this particular reference point, then how come we diverge that much? So once you start drilling into the functioning of these groups, you see that as a matter of fact, at some stage, the Quran and the Sunnah have been hijacked. What do I mean? And I'm not going to go very far. I'm going to mention to you something that I experienced in my early days in Islam within the Salafi, you know, framework, if we can call it that way. I don't know how it was in America, but in the 90s and the early 2000s in Europe, you basically had to follow Sheikh Al-Albani's opinions. Whenever there was a matter of khilaf, you were told that you have to follow the opinion of Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala. Now, obviously, the opinions of Sheikh Al-Albani are valid opinions, all right? They are, you know, backed up by proof. When he's talking about matters of disagreement amongst the scholars, on the whole, the overwhelming majority of opinions of Sheikh Al-Albani are within the scope of valid opinions. However, they are not at the level of revelation. All right? So you wonder, why is this form of ta'assub now all of a sudden to a scholar who calls to the Quran and the Sunnah?
No.
Why is the ta'assub to him and not to the essence of what he's calling to? No. Well, in Europe, what they were saying in those days is that, now look at the equation. Yeah. Well, Imam Ahmad said that الطائفة المنصورة الفرقة الناجية are أصحاب الحديث. If it's not them, then I don't know who they are. Right? No. Imam Ahmad said that. Okay. أصحاب الحديث. The scholars agree. So Al-Albani, Al-Uthaymeen, Bin Baz, and all, you know, the well-known scholars of the Salafi Da'wah, they agree to say that Al-Albani is the Muhaddithul Asr. Okay? They agree he's the Muhaddithul Asr. No. So that's the call of discourse. Now, do you say, so he is the one we have to follow? No. Right? And it leads to, you know, people splitting, people arguing, you know, like you have the good old mas'ala. I mean, it's almost embarrassing to mention it, but people were arguing of when you come back from ruku', do you put your hands back on your chest or you let your hands dangling down? Right? So Sheikh Al-Albani is known to have said that you let the hands dangling down. Whereas Sheikh Bin Baz said that you can put your hands back on your chest. All right? In Europe, people were literally arguing on such a mas'ala. No. So, is any of the two aqwal going against the clear Quran? No, it's not. No. You see that here, the understanding of we follow the Quran and the Sunnah has been hijacked by a completely flawed principle that, for whatever reason that we bring text for, all right, we have Nasr of Imam Ahmad, etc. No. We become muqallideen of an individual
No.
That Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah mentions in many parts of his book. لم نلزم باتباعه.
No.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
So
Give it for the English speakers. It's not necessary to.
We have not been required to follow this particular individual.
No.
Okay. So I'm talking about the Salafis because I don't want to point fingers at others. Now I want us really to introspect, right, and understand our own flaws. Like I want us to clean our own yard first. Okay. But what I have just mentioned to you here is applicable in many other frameworks, right? The muta'assibin in the madahib of fiqh.
No.
You have people that claim كل آية أو حديث لا توافق مذهبنا إما منسوخ أو مؤول. Any ayah of the Quran or any hadith that opposes our madhab is either abrogated or reinterpreted. All right. So what happened in this particular case here is that you have a madhab which is on the whole inspired from the Quran and the Sunnah.
No.
From the madhab al-arba, okay, to the different levels of ijtihad, etc. However, the madhab as such is not infallible.
Of course.
So instead of sticking to the principles, the fundamental principles of the madhab that teach you how to take from the Quran and the Sunnah, you have now taken what branches off from these principles, meaning the final product, if you can say it, you know, like what is the madhab concerning, you know, do you put your hands here, do you let them hang down, etc. You have made that binding upon the people above going back to the Quran and the Sunnah.
Yes.
All right. So in order to reach the truth, we have to first of all reassess where are we in front of this fundamental creed of the Muslims that the Quran is the word of Allah.
No.
I mean, think about that for a second. It's like Allah sending a message to every single one of us directly. What is the level of importance of such a message? It's the top, without the shadow of a doubt. And the Sunnah is included by order of the Quran itself. As we know from the books of Aqidah, you know, that's not something between Ahl Sunnah that we're going to be arguing about. Okay.
No.
So, in order to know the truth, it's essential that you first study the matters that are as close as possible to that particular source, because that is the source that is infallible until the end of time.
No.
That is the source that is flawless.
No.
So in all the noise that you have today out there, you have to have an ability to bring matters back to the Book of Allah, and what follows on from that, the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because of the order that we have in the Book of Allah concerning this.
No.
Okay. So now, in theory, this is all fabulous. How does it work in practice? All right. Now, until recently, as you know, Khalid, we have always said the scholars, the scholars, the scholars.
No.
And with this framework, or like with this, how to say, vague understanding of saying the scholars, the scholars, the scholars, we have actually fallen right into what I have described with you with Shaykh al-Albani. That is matter with Shaykh al-Albani, that was 30 years ago, or 20, 30 years ago. But nowadays, it's with other people, right? And I don't want to mention no names because I don't want to get you in trouble, all right?
I'm already in trouble.
Right, yeah, but me more than you, so, you know, I'll anyway. But, so the question is, really, why has this gone wrong?
No.
Why has this understanding of let's go back to the scholars of the Sunnah? What's the problem with us Muslims nowadays in this particular matter? Well, Khalid, you were in the Minhaj, and then later on you came back to Shihab, and you have experience with people of Yemen. So here, you and me, we can speak on something. I'm going to tell you something. You're going to tell me whether you agree with me or not. Sheikh Muqbil, rahimahullah ta'ala, he was, this message of going back to the Quran and the authentic Sunnah, it was absolute core of his speakings, his writings, his da'wah, whether it be in his markaz or his touring around the country. Okay? Right.
Yeah.
So we have major students of his that have, absorbed this message for years and years and years. However, they have become muta'assib to opinions of Sheikh Muqbil in matters that we could qualify as furu', branches. Right? We have this core message here that Sheikh Muqbil is about, and then we have Sheikh Muqbil's teaching that branch out into many sciences, fiqh, his hukum upon ahadith, etc. And you know that Sheikh Muqbil disagrees with Sheikh Al-Albani on a number of things.
No.
Now we see that a number of the students of Sheikh Muqbil, not all of them, of course, but this is something that I felt was present in Yemen, is that when it comes to khilaf of ahadith between Sheikh Muqbil and Sheikh Al-Albani, Sheikh Al-Albani is cancelled. You agree with me or not?
Well, and I think that we definitely have to qualify it by maybe individuals, because I don't see it quite as blanket like that. I see, mashallah.
Of course not. I'm saying
a lot of mashayikh.
Of course not. But it's a phenomenon, even with teachers in the Marrakech. I'm not saying like the major mashayikh. However, within teachers at the lower level, for example, somebody who's going to teach you Kitab al-Tawheed,
right?
And within the sharh that he's giving you, he's talking about a hukum of the hadith. The fact that Sheikh Al-Albani declared something hasan and Sheikh Muqbil declared it da'if, for them it's not even worth talking about. Right? And you are blameworthy if you're going to consider the tahsin of Sheikh Al-Albani.
No.
Right? So we see that we have actually, in these kind of situations, we have deviated from the core message of this scholar of the Sunnah and cling on to actually having elevated him to a status that we are not allowed to elevate him upon. A level of taqleed. No. And so
let me ask you.
Sure.
So then two things kind of far'in on this. For one, what do you tell to the lay person about finding the truth? Because I can imagine a new Muslim who would listen to this wouldn't understand most of what you're saying. This is much more in depth. What would you tell him to as advice? He's a new shahada in Luxembourg, in the UK, in Seattle, and he just wants to learn, advance his Islam. What would you say to him as far as this issue of following the truth?
Right, yeah. So basically what I'm trying to get here is that we have to establish a framework where the Quran and the Sunnah are the absolute reference. And the scholar, he's the one who connects you to this reference. He's not the one who becomes a red line.
Right.
It's like, no. We have all these proof from the Quran, the Sunnah, but no. Like, because whatever excuse he is the man in this day and age, we're going to stick to him. That is the recipe for major problems down the line.
Okay.
All right. And that's what we witnessed today. So in order to avoid this, I believe that you first need to do a certain level of homework. And this homework is the following. Is one, develop an attachment to the Quran by reading it on a regular basis.
No.
And especially when you are new, you need to have a certain attitude when you're reading the Quran. It's like there are matters in the Quran that are clear cut, that everybody understands. And there are matters that are complex, whether it be matters of belief, whether they matters of fiqh, whether it be matters of the reality of life in this world. I remember when I was a new Muslim, wallahi, I found the Quran overwhelming. It's like I could read a few pages and it's like, oof, I gotta stop now. Like this, wow, this is like, because it was smashing my understanding of life and death. Like literally, it came like bam onto me, akhi. Okay, and I had to like, I gotta stop and I gotta digest this now before I continue. And I would put the Quran away maybe for weeks. I wouldn't touch it because like, oof, I had to recover from this now, you know? So understand that the Quran came down in 23 years. So you're not going to digest the Quran like you digest, you know, a novel or, you know, some worldly life matter book, whatever. Okay, the Quran, it's a huge thing to work with. So when there are things that overwhelm you, it's like have this attitude of saying, okay, I'll leave this till later. I'm now looking for something that's more, something that I can take in. Like, for example, Surah Al-Kahf. First of all, Surah Al-Fatiha, of course. That's something to meditate upon in every salah. Surah Al-Baqarah. Very interesting, very accessible to a newbie. Surah Ali Imran, also accessible to a newbie. Surah Yusuf, accessible to a newbie. Al-Isra, Al-Kahf, Maryam, Taha, Al-Qasr, Al-Shu'ara, Surah Ghafir. You know, these kind of surah, they are packed with matters for you to think upon, meditate, and reconsider your framework of life, your vision of life and death. You know, Ibn al-Qayyim in his introduction of Madarij al-Salikin, he describes it as an awakening. It's like you all of a sudden, you see the akhirah and you see the sirat in front of you and you see some people make it and you see people falling off. A friend of mine, one of my earliest mentors in Islam, he compared it to, you know that movie, The Matrix?
Yes, yeah.
You know, when the guy wakes up, you know, and the cables pop out, he compared it to that. And I find it a very good comparison. All right? So that alone, that is an essential matter that you need to develop, and it's a skill you need to develop and an attachment. Level 2 is read in depth the books that are widely accepted within the Ummah. For example, Ar-Rahiq al-Maktoum, the sealed Nexa, Sirah of the Prophet ﷺ. Right? I mean, within the framework of Ahlul Sunnah, I don't think that anybody will disagree with this book. All right? So here you really, you can't go wrong with this book. Tafsir ibn Kathir, and you know, you have an excellent version in English, the abridged version by Sheikh Tafir Rahman al-Mubarakpuri. Tafsir ibn Kathir also widely accepted amongst the madahib, amongst Ahlul Sunnah. I mean, highly respected scholar and piece of work. All right. So I would especially emphasize from the English version, the first 2 volumes, which are, of course, Surah Al-Fatiha, which is excellent. I mean, the English translation is of high quality. Surah Al-Baqarah, you know, like the first verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, the first couple of pages, very good translation, very good abridged version by, you know, Sheikh al-Mubarakpuri. All right. and also the volume 2, which is the end of Surah Al-Baqarah, and Ali Imran. I think it's not all of Ali Imran, but it's like a big deal of Ali Imran. All right?
Okay. No.
Subhanallah, this will give you a strong foundation that will clarify a number of things for you from the Quran.
What about Aqidah books?
All right, I'm coming to it. All right, like, because, and this is why I want to start with Ibn Kathir, because he already lays a strong foundation in matters of Aqidah.
Okay.
How Aqidah functions, how it should be studied. All right?
No.
From the Aqidah books, I am tempted to say al-Usol al-Thalatha, but al-Usol al-Thalatha, here you're getting controversial. All right? Now I say, oh, Abdullah is pushing his agenda. This is why, if you are not sold on the works of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, no problem, leave them aside for the moment. And this is why I want you to look at the works that are agreed upon with amongst the Ummah, because that is what will give you peace in your heart about the works of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala. All right? So I would say, after Tafsir ibn Kathir, I would say Riyadh al-Salihin. Why? Riyadh al-Salihin is a book that is, subhanallah, highly respected amongst Sunni Muslims.
No.
And it's a book that is teaching you a lot, once again, about vision of life, ibadah, attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how to say, mannerism, the akhlaq of Islam.
No.
Okay? Because here, now, if you understand Riyadh al-Salihin, you have read the biography of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Riyadh al-Salihin is fleshing out this first, knowledge that you have gained from the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, this is immunizing, it's giving you immunity to a number of matters that are, how to say, done by groups that when it's going to come to you, you're going to say, hey, wait a second. That's not what I've read in the ahadith. Okay? So now you having some sort of proof.
Familiarity with the nusus? No.
Yeah, you have some sort of nusus. However, this is the speech of the Prophet ﷺ. This is what has to take precedence. Okay? Yeah. And when we're coming down to what we are suffering with today, Ahl Sunnah Salafiyah, Da'wah Salafiyah, what we are suffering from, which is despicable behavior of ta'assub, and what follows on from that, of insulting people and belittling people, etc. If you have taken in the authentic ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ, you will not fall into this as likely as people who haven't. All right? Yeah. Yeah. So, if there is an exception to the rule, then that is just that. It's an exception to the rule. But when people come to you and, like you have the rule and the exception, but now they flip this around. You have the rule and the exception. All right? Like, despicable behavior becomes the absolute rule with which you treat any Muslim out there. And the rule of good behavior is limited to some small circles of people that you hang out with and you're connected with on Twitter. So, excuse me, there is something blatantly wrong here. And the fact that we reach that sort of stage, that shows you that at this foundational level, there is a severe misunderstanding. You see, inqilab al-mawazin, as we said, as we say in Arabic, the scales have been flipped around. Okay, we have the Quran and the Sunnah. No, this has become lip service. We have now these small aqwal that apply to a small minority of scenarios. You have made that the absolute rule. It's like somebody, you see him, drinking wine every day at lunch and at dinner based upon the rukhsa of drinking wine. It's like, I don't really enjoy water, and there is a rukhsa, and Allah doesn't, la yukallifullahu nafsan. It's the same kind of reasoning that's completely flawed. All right? So gaining these kind of foundations it grants you immunity from these kind of deviants. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Okay.
Let me move on to the second point or second question, which is foreign from this discussion. So then how do we know the scholars of the truth? And before that, as you mentioned, our job is not to make ta'assub li ashkhas, that we shouldn't blind follow and so forth. In looking at this issue, my view, as Ben Uthaymeen, he mentions that obviously there is levels of scholarship. There are things we are going to make taqleed, but it's just that blind partisanship that we want to reject. For example, I don't have any experience in making ahkam regarding hadith. So I just say, Imam al-Albani said. I have those references to those scholars that we feel that are thiqat for us. So tell us a little bit of how do we know who these scholars are? How do we know who the scholars of Ahl Sunnah are? How do we? Right.
The next point that I was going to make, it actually leads to what you're saying, is that the next book that I would advise is Sharh Aqidat al-Tahawiyah.
Okay, right? I'm teaching right now for my marcus.
However, I believe, in French, there used to be an abridged version that's highly simplified. I would assume, I'm not 100% sure, that the English version is also an abridged version that is simplified. Because obviously in Aqidat Tahawiyah, some masail, they're way too deep for a beginner, but even, I would say, a non-student of knowledge, a non-dedicated student of knowledge, all right? Yeah. So I believe that, but it's something that needs to be checked, all right? Al-Aqidat al-Tahawiyah is a book that is also widely accepted amongst Ahl Sunnah, including the non-muta'assibin Hanafi, all right? No. So the Hanafis, they should also be cool with this because, we have our back and forth with the people from the Hanafi madhab, etc. So here we are all on common ground. Right, as the author of the Matan as well as the Sharh are both Hanafis, but they're widely considered from the people of Sunnah as being, very good with minor issues here and there. Yeah. So once you have done this, it's kind of like, it becomes like a checklist. Okay, those are foundations. Okay, foundations of creed, behavior, and what we would call Minhaj. All right? So now you can look around and say, okay, these books, they're now like a checklist. This scholar, his position on this matter, same. The way he teaches, the way he advises people to go about their lives, interact with people, it reflects what I see from Riyadh al-Salihin. He transpires religiosity. Right? He transpires today, and he transpires attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. Right? From reading the Quran, I see that the way he talks, he has an attachment. I can see a parallel with what I read in the Quran. You will see that your heart kind of, opens up to such individuals. Right? Yeah. This is how fundamentally you have to look around you and understand who are the scholars. Thinking that, you have to see who the scholars gave tazkiyah to. Yeah, but how do you know the scholars who gave tazkiyah? While there are other scholars who give tazkiyah, that's a chain that's an open chain, all right? The Asha'ira, they have an open chain of scholars that have passed down the tazkiyah until the nowadays people, all right? The people of Tasawwuf, they have, an open chain of people that give them tazkiyah, maybe all the way up, through the lineage of Ahl al-Bayt to, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay? However, when we compare what they're upon to what I have just mentioned to you, you see like, hey, there's something wrong here. Something seriously wrong here. All right, so here that caution. right? Then another thing is that when we go with tazkiyah, once again, you are relying upon human beings. You're not relying upon the flawless matters. All right? And this is how we see that nowadays we have crafty individuals that manage to receive tazkiyah from mashayikh that are considered mashayikh, but have been duped in, pumping up these individuals and protecting them from any, attempts to rectify their matter. Right? This is why when we just go with this idea of we rely on human beings, you see, there is this idea of you're actually detaching yourself from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His message. You're going back to human beings. So this leads me to a very important point, which is, then what is the role of the scholars? Right? Once you have figured out who these scholars are, that are in line with these matters that the Ummah agrees upon, all right, these matters of Aqidah, these matters of, how to make tafsir, etc. These scholars, what is their function? Their function is to guide you in these matters that you can't understand yourself from the Quran and the Sunnah. But their function is not to re-explain to you the matters that are just ma'lum min al-Deen bid-darura. Like you see nowadays, people that claim to be following the Quran and the Sunnah upon the understanding of the Salaf, you see them asking the scholars about matters that are so basic that you just like, wonder. Like you mentioned a statement of the scholar who is just telling you, this is the way it has to be done, when we have texts from the Quran and the Sunnah that tell you that. You see, there is this kind of flawed relation of now going to the scholars for each and everything and just become totally reliant upon them. Right? Subhanallah, Al-Uthaymeen said, and it's a beautiful statement, he said, لا تربط الحق بالرجال.
No.
Do not tie truth to individuals.
No.
Why? Because individuals are flawed. Wala bud. All right? And this is Allah wants it to be this way. Because if Allah had made individuals flawless, then you would detach yourself from Him and just stick to individuals. That's not what you're supposed to do.
No.
So, do you feel that makes sense? Do you have anything to add on to this framework before we move on to the second part of this matter?
What you said is clear. I may have my own observations, like I would definitely include things like Usol al-Thalatha.
Bro, you are my senior, Akhi, all right? I know you are the host, etc. But you're still my senior, okay? You're my senior in Islam. You're my senior in the dunya. You're my senior in Islam, and you're my senior in Talib al-Ilm, all right? So it's not like for me to say stuff and, you just remain quiet when you disagree with me.
Yeah. Anyhow, I would just emphasize the importance of, mashallah, you gave a very good, well-rounded minhaj for study for the new Muslims. Even that could be overwhelming. And I'll just give you a quick, I don't want to take away from the time you have speaking, but just last weekend I was with a new Muslim, a new brother, mashallah. And, I said, how many pillars of Islam? He said, 5. How many pillars of Iman? 6. And I said, what are the 6? And he said, oh man, and I said, okay, man, we need to get that. Okay, the first pillar, and tu'mina billahi. So he pumped out his phone immediately. He starts recording. I was like, go ahead, no problem. So we're sitting in line for the pharmacy. My point is very important, as you mentioned, those books, but that's a pretty extensive thing of study. And obviously you're not saying do it overnight, but I like Usul al-Thalatha for it because it's mujmil aqidah, or actually it's more focused on tawheed. It's not so mujmil, but it is a really good reference for a new Muslim with explanation being taught to them. So that's just something I would. I mean,
Khalid, I wish the Ummah was sold on Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab.
But
right?
even as some of the mashayikh mentioned, like I know Abu Salah Afghani, also Sheikh Abdul Razak mentions this a lot. Different stories. I don't know if these are different occasions where they tore the ghilaf, the cover of Kitab al-Tawheed. They gave it to this Ashari who in Afghanistan, also I've heard it mentioned in Pakistan, who used to, curse Muhammad ibn Wahhab every Jumu'ah during the khutbah.
Yeah.
They gave Sheikh, what do you think of this book? So he looks through it. He says, "This is Bukhari," because the way the aslub of the Sheikh,
Yes,
and so
definitely.
I think it's very important to give the people that medicine regardless. They may not always like it, and most of the people are not going to accept it, and that's just the hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the qadr of Allah azza wa jal. But anyway, those are other matters. Let's move on.
But the way I'm getting at with that, like Khalid, our 2 points are actually connected. You see?
Yeah.
Like what you have mentioned with people, tearing off the cover and showing it.
Yeah.
If you study these foundations, all right, that I have mentioned, and yeah, it's overwhelming, I know, but yo, ikhwan, all right, this is your life. This is why you're here. Okay, there has to be some serious work put into it. All right. Yeah. So once you get this fundamental understanding, then you will be sold on the books of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Right? Because you will understand what is muhkam nusus. You will see that Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he has just repackaged what these previous generations were upon, and he has just simplified it to the layperson. All right? In a way that bugs a lot of people that are not down with the program. Okay? Because, his books are extremely sharp. And as you say, like when you read Kitab al-Tawheed, I mean, wallahi, it's one of the most beloved books to me. Right? And as you say, like when you read it, you feel like you're reading Sahih Bukhari from his manhaj of presenting the Masail. It's great. And this leads me also to something. It's like, people, there is a big campaign that is in the making against Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and his books. Okay? This campaign is not targeting his core works like Al-Usul al-Thalath, Fawaid Arba'a, Kitab al-Tawheed, Kashf al-Shubuhat, which I believe are his core works. They try to undermine him. Oh, look, this happened with the Ottoman Empire and history and the Brits and the spies and, Munafiq, blah, 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 blah. In order for you to not actually look at the book, say, oh, no, this is, deviance, I'm going to go astray if I read that stuff. All right? People, history is written by human beings with agendas. This side or that side. All right? Our infallible source is the Quran and the Sunnah. If we go back to the Quran and the Sunnah, we'll see that these books that I have mentioned, these core books, are at an outstanding level of accuracy.
No.
Every book has its flaws. However, these books, they have an outstanding level of accuracy to the Quran and the Sunnah.
No.
So far, we have spoken about what we could call technical or rational, scientific ways of finding out the truth. However, these have to be combined with spiritual ways of finding the truth.
Okay.
Because if you believe that you are going to find the truth just through your intellect and your ability, you are maghrur. You are just fooling your own self. From the very core message from the Quran and many ahadith, we see that the reality of being abdun lillah, a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to be attached to Him and learning to rely upon Him. Likewise, in your quest for truth, this has to go along with the intellectual and rational part of it. These two have to be combined. You can't go all out in one direction and neglecting another one, whichever way you go. So let me explain to you, what does that mean? Well, look at the books of the A'imma. Even Sharh al-Tahawiyah. SubhanAllah, al-Tahawi, in one of the chapters, he actually mentions the kalam of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah on the necessity of asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance in order to understand these masail that he's presented. Right? We have, of course, Surah Al-Fatiha, which is the core of Salah, which is the number one pillar of action in the deen. Pillar means, you know, it's the thing that is holding up the whole building. All right?
Yeah. Foundation.
Fatiha is about what? It's about asking for guidance. All right? So this matter of you making efforts to pray properly, pray with, you know, a good heart. Don't pray like, it's time to pray again. Stuff to do. No. It's like, okay, now it's time to pray. Right? Now I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna reach some real benefit now, because whatever in the dunya might work, might not work. Praying, that's something that works. All right? You do it for Allah. I mean, you can't lose. You can't go wrong here.
No.
So you need to have a certain attitude concerning these matters. That is what's going to help you forward. You know, subhanAllah, there is an amazing qawl by Al-Hafiz ibn Rajab in his famous book, فضل علم السلف على الخلف.
No.
He says, ليس العلم بكثرة الرواية ولا كثرة المقال ولكن العلم نور يقذف في القلب.
No.
So you see that this, you know, like ilm is not a lot of narration or a lot of speech. Rather, ilm is light that is cast into the heart. Now, this sounds very, you know, abstract and, you know, maybe esoteric and whatnot. But the reality is that for Al-Hafid ibn Rajab, somebody who is so technical in Masail al-Fiqh, المسائل you know تحقيق الأحاديث تصحيح الأحاديث تضعيفها and مسائل of عقيدة, to somebody who's so technical to come up with a qawl that is so, you know, how would you describe it? That is because there is a dimension to this religion which is what we would call in English spiritual. That is hard to put words upon.
Yeah, of course.
And that is what is coming through your ibadah and making dua, reading Surah Al-Fatiha properly with khushu', saying Allahumma hdini wa sadidni, Allahumma nis'aluka al-huda wa sadad. You know, doing Qiyam al-Layl and starting with the dua that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma rabba Jibreel wa Mikail wa Israfil, ila an qal, ihdini lima ikhtalifa fihi min al-haqq bi'idhnik, innaka tahdi man tasha'u ila siratin mustaqim. Man yahdihi Allahu fala mudilla lahu, wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. All right? So we have so much text from the Quran and the Sunnah and from the A'imma, the people that made it, to emphasize this point of asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance and following the instructions that you have to do to receive guidance.
No. Jameel. Jazakallah khairan. طيب, that leads to, how do we know who these scholars of haqq are and how, na'am?
Well, as we said previously, like يقال لا يعرف الحق بالرجال لكن يعرف الرجال بالحق.
No.
You do not know truth to people, but you will know people through the truth.
No.
Okay? What does that mean? This is once again why I said you need to have this foundation from the Quran, the Sunnah, these books that are absolute core, that lay out the foundation for you. Once you understand that and practice your deen, practice these matters of ibadah, of asking for guidance, you will distinguish the people of truth from the people of falsehood.
Mm.
And the ulama, they, as I said, there is a core, there are core matters that you have to not take from the ulama. You have to take these directly from the Quran and the Sunnah. But once you have taken these matters, now you distinguish the ulama that you can take from, and they will help you extracting these other matters from the Quran and the Sunnah. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah. No. Jazakallah khairan. Tahir, this is one of those itchy, twitchy issues here. So there's a lot of controversy around certain du'at al-khair that we have in the West. Of course, like Muhammad Munir, I'm always asked about Sheikh Tahir. What is your view, and how do you deal with those issues when you come across those issues? Or basically, what's your view?
Right. All right.
Feel free to share. Yeah.
As you know, Khalid, within a series that I have done recently, and I'm still completing it, I have spoken about Tahir Wyatt, Sheikh Tahir Wyatt, right?
Okay.
And I have refuted some of the claims that have been made against him.
Okay.
And obviously, I'm putting myself in the spotlight by doing so. All right. And I've been getting heat from a bunch of people.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah. Tahir Wyatt. I have attended one lesson of his in Medina. I happened to be going to Medina a weekend in Ramadan. And, you know, I heard that, you know, there was this American da'i who has a chair in the haram, okay, who's teaching in English. I'm saying, I want to check that out. You know, that was like, that sounds very strange to me. All right.
Yeah.
Khalid. You know, Ahi, when, you know, let's say you're a beginner in martial arts. Okay, you've done some martial arts, you know, you still, you know, at you know, beginner stage. So you cannot do what the big guys do. However, now when you see the big guys do stuff, you understand really how good they are more than before you were doing anything, right? So I'm by no means, you know, a big student of knowledge, etc., etc. However, I did spend some time in the Markaz Ilmi in Yemen.
No.
I did also spend some time in the Markaz Ilmi in Saudi Arabia.
Inshallah.
I do have a clue, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Khalid, when I heard this man speak, I honestly couldn't believe it.
SubhanAllah.
I was like, this is a Westerner? Like, just like, Allahu Akbar. All right? Why? You see, Akhi, a lot of dua, good dua, okay? What they will reach is that what they have studied in class, you know, like the end product, the final mas'ala, you know, the qawl on this issue is kada, and this is the proof. They will manage to reproduce that for you and convey it to you. Okay? Tahir Wyatt, when I heard him speak, he was beyond that level.
Allah Akbar.
He was able to present masail by using the usul properly. It's Allah. Like you're hearing a alim talk in English. Mashallah. It's very strange.
MashaAllah.
Okay? Bro, Akhi, you know, even our brothers that we love for Allah in the West that do a good job, when you hear them present a class in English, it's not like when you hear alim talk, all right? It's just not the same.
Yeah.
Right? That it tastes different. I mean, this guy, when I heard him, I couldn't believe it. So, you know, back in Jeddah, I said, I need to check this guy out. So, you know, I listened to a few of his lectures and I said, wow, mashallah. So then I got to know about, you know, the criticism that was made against him, and I was, and I think, like, the reason why I defended him, and inshallah ta'ala, I will produce more on that. I mean, not that he needs my defense, all right?
Yeah.
But, you know, a society needs, needs leaders and it needs street cleaners, okay? Like, I'm doing the street cleaning job. It has to be done, right? Somebody needs to do the dirty job, okay?
Yeah.
Not everybody's able to do the dirty job, right? A lot of people wish they could do it. I feel that, you know, like the level of criticism that is brought to him is so basic, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
Okay? So now the reason why I decided to go with that is that, Khalid, we have problems in the West that are extremely complex.
Yeah.
Yes?
Of course.
Our scholars are extremely busy with their own problems in their own communities. There is only so much time that they can dedicate to solving our Western issues.
No.
Okay? So there must be a scope of action for qualified du'at. Not Tom, Dick, and Harry. Qualified du'at. There must be a scope within which they need to be given authority to work to solve our Western problems. Okay? One, because they have reached a level of qualification that is sufficient to deal with these kind of issues. Two, they understand the Western context like no scholar from any other place can understand, right? And I'm not making this up, Khalid. This is in the books of Usol al-Fiqh. All right? Al-Hukm ala shay far'un an tasawwurihi.
No.
Okay? This is in the adab of al-Mufti wal-Mustafti.
No.
Okay, that if you bring in a complex issue to an alim, he must have a holistic understanding of the issue in itself, its context, its ramifications, and the consequences of the fatwa that he's giving. Yeah. But the reality is that, you know, if you just go with the good old 00966, yeah, Sheikh, this and that, and, you know, it's what I call the drive-through fatwa. You know, it's the McDonald's drive-through. Bro, we have matters in the West that need deep study in order to come up with a comprehensive guidance, theoretically and practically, indicating the Muslim how they get themselves out of the mess that they are in. All right? And a person like Sheikh Tahir Wyatt, he's a rarity.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so if, you know, we had, you know, hundreds of these guys in the West, you know, in every other city we have one, I would have said, you know what, you know, Tahir, why these guys are criticizing you, Allah alayk, you know, other people, you know, you deal with your stuff, other people will deal with other stuff. Oh, actually, he's a rarity. If we can't elect these people who have not studied, who are jahil, but a level of jahil that is mind-boggling, take down people that are a level of Tahir Wyatt, bro, we're doomed. Yes or no?
Of course, we need that scholarship and that fahm. No.
So people are, you know, people bring this kalam fadi. Oh, you know, he's monopoly. You know, he's cutting the people off from the scrolls. Blah blah blah. Guys, listen. Somebody who studies and reaches this kind of level has respect for scholars more than you do. Okay? Like the relationship that somebody who reached such a level has with these scholars is far stronger and more powerful than the level of, you know, those that quack all over social media.
Yeah,
okay?
Right.
So I trust somebody like Tahir Wyatt that when he feels that he needs to listen to other people, what they got to say, he has lines of communication that are far more efficient than yours, okay? And he's going to do what he needs to do in order to come up with something that he will work with in order to try and rectify the affair of the Muslims and the field that he's dealing with, right? Now, I'm not from America, as you know, I'm from Luxembourg, as you have introduced about myself. However, our European context is closer to you Americans' context than North Africa, Black Africa, Middle East, Asia, etc. All right. So you guys, you're ahead of us in everything, in facade, in America is is our leader. Like wherever you are today, it's gonna take us a few years to catch up, and all the battle that we don't have yet, we'll have it in a few years. All right. So you and me, we're on the same boat. You're at the front, I'm at the back. That's all it is. So a person like Tahir Wyatt, for the Muslim cause in general, but even me as a European, for me it's key that we protect such individuals. And they're not the ones that should be cleaning the streets. They're not the ones that should be doing rudud on childish matters. There should be street sweepers, and there has to be people that do far more important jobs. That's just the way I see all of this.
Mashallah, Jazakallah khairan. That's a very interesting analysis. Something more than food for thought. Jazakallah khairan. So as not to prolong the discussion too much, then how do we deal with, and I think this is a big issue that we have especially within our community, especially Salafi community, on how to deal with differences, how to deal with issues of khilaf, and you kind of touched on that, and you talked about some of those things. Anything else to add to that?
Yes. First of all, for those who want, obviously it's done in the context of refutation, but I have made a video. I made a series of videos on this, actually. I have a series of videos, and there's three videos that deal with this particular matter. And the series is called To Mawqif or Not To Mawqif. Right?
Okay.
But obviously, if you like to stay away from polemics, which is a better thing to do, stay away from that series, and I hope to do some work on that in kind of a clean fashion, inshallah ta'ala, in the near future. But what people have to understand, and Akhi Khalid, it's kind of funny you asking me that question, because what I'm going to say now is highly inspired from the question that you asked Sheikh Abdullah ages ago back in Shahr, and he gave a majlis specifically for us Westerners on that day. And wallahi, I remember that majlis like it was yesterday, Akhi. And I remember looking at you, you had this kind of satisfied smile, like, yes, this is what I need,
Yeah, subhanAllah.
So, like, Ikhwan, what we have to understand is that there is different levels of khilaf. There is khilaf which is khilaf tanawwu'. There is khilaf which is khilaf afham, and there's khilaf which is khilaf tabad. Tanawwu' means it is variety. Means that in the Sharia we have a variety of accomplishing this particular matter here. We have three different ways of doing
gradations or something. We have a diversity, right? All of it is authentic. That particular matter should be a non-issue. But Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he says that in the past we had groups that fought each other with weapons about matters of khilaf that are khilaf tanawwu'. Subhanallah.
Like both sides are 100% correct. Like both matters are authentically related in the Sharia. You are given the choice. You can do it this way or you can do it that way. Choose what suits you the best. All right. So that is a message about how crazy ta'assub can get while you are upon the haqq. All right.
Subhanallah.
Then we have khilaf afham. Now it gets more delicate. Only one matter is true. However, the diverging is within a scope that is acceptable. Either because the text has some ambiguity as to the details of its interpretation or application. Like, for example, what we mentioned earlier on, when you come back from ruku', do we have a clear text? No, we don't. All right. We have a text telling us that, you know, you should put your hand on your chest. But it doesn't mention coming back from ruku' specifically.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
it's a generality of the text, a generality of the nusus, making a hukum based on that, ijtihadat, yeah.
Exactly.
No.
So these are matters where it's okay to diverge. And Khalid, as ex-Christians, okay, like Muslims might wonder, you know, like, yeah, but if we are upon the truth, how come we have khilaf on such matters? Bro, as ex-Christians, we can tell people about khilaf.
Yeah.
Bro, Christians, I mean, by the time I was trying to practice Christianity, I was trying to find out how to fast. What are the rulings of fasting in Christianity? Bro, you see now in Salah, we agree on the core of Salah, as well as most of the details, and there's some details that we disagree upon. Christianity, we don't disagree. We don't agree on anything. Like I was looking at how are we supposed to fast, bro? Like,
yeah,
it's a freestyle session.
Yeah.
All right. So these matters, they shouldn't be a Muslim. It's like, okay, one of the major scholars said this, and one of the major scholars said that. Okay, no big deal.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel comfortable doing, what scholar you feel the most comfortable with, you can go with him. However, the red line is where? When you make it binding upon other people.
Yeah.
This is where it gets ugly. And this is where we are today.
Yes.
In matters that are not clear-cut or sometimes even not relevant. All right? Okay, your sheikh, he spoke about Fulan. Bro, I don't care. I don't study with Fulan. I don't read his book.
Yeah.
Why am I supposed to get involved?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So, like, these people are implicitly saying that when you die, when you put down in the grave, the angels of death, the Munkar and Nakir, they're going to come with a clipboard with a list of names. And they're going to say, so, Fulan, Salafi, Hizbi, Qutbi, Ash'ari, Takfir, Salafi. Right. Alan Hizbi, right. Alan Salafi, no, wrong.
Yeah.
That's implicitly what you're saying. Okay? And this is busying the people away from what the angels are really going to ask you about. And I have personally tested people upon that. You see, they like to test people with individuals. I tested them with Tawheed, straight up. I was like, yo, could you give me the dalil of the tafsir of La ilaha illallah? So he shut out of his mouth. No, that is the tafsir. I'm asking you for the dalil. What do you mean the dalil? Yeah, what's your proof for that tafsir? You're blind following in a matter that you're not supposed to blind follow, okay? Like Binas al-Hadith from the punishment of the grave, or like the questions of the grave. He didn't even know what I was talking about, okay? So we have to understand that we have these core matters of the religion that we need to take care of, and that within our daily matters, there is going to be a scope of khilaf that is not harmful, and that we just have to be, you know, like Sheikh Abdullah always said, Al-Amru fi hada wasi'.
No.
Right? You gotta, you know, your chest has to be large. It's not an issue. Just let him do the way he does it. You do it the way you do it. He has a valid point, a known scholar backing him up. You have a valid point, a known scholar backing you up. Move forward, right? If you start telling me that, you know, it's khilaf about Allah and His Messenger, no. Here we can't say that we're just going to turn a blind eye to it. No, this is, there's one wrong and one right. We need to know the one which is right. Right? We can't be worshipping different gods here.
Yeah,
okay?
Right.
And then, as I said, that is the point where khilaf is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Is where you have khilaf that goes against matters of the Sharia, of the Deen, that don't accept khilaf.
Yeah.
Where is Allah above His throne? We have clear-cut text about this. Okay.
No.
The books of the A'imma, they are unanimous on these matters. There is no room for diverging here. Okay. So, however, here, when we have somebody diverging with us, there are certain manners that have to be observed, and it's not like some, all-out warfare that is causing way more harm than good. Right? This is a disease nowadays within the framework of Salafiyah. Very wrong understanding on how we deal with al-Mukhalifin, especially the lay people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. A lot of fitna because of that. Taib, I'll wrap it up with this last question. So what do you advise as far as time usage to obtain a foundation in Usul al-Deen, in the foundations of the religion? How should the person use their time? What should they be doing? What should they be studying?
Well, as we have said at the beginning of our conversation, nowadays we are overwhelmed with noise from everywhere. All right. People, this matter is serious and is core to the preservation of your religion. You have to dedicate study time to the matters of the Sharia that might not always be exciting. Okay. We have like the mawa'iz, things that pump you up. Okay. There is a certain excitement linked to these kind of, lessons or books, etc. And they play an essential role. Don't get me wrong. Okay. However, that cannot replace the dull studying of the books that we have mentioned. Okay, you just have to do it. And Ikhwan, nowadays there is work that is being done on YouTube that has its place in the life of a Muslim. All right, we have the debates against the atheists. That is something it's needed. All right, because atheism is far more dangerous upon the ummah at every level, in the West, in the Muslim countries, in schools, etc. So this battle has to be fought. However, for every single individual from us, it doesn't mean that this is our battle. And it doesn't mean that we have to follow up every single debate that's out there. From these matters, you just need to take what is necessary for you. If you have certain shubuhat that you need to deal with, then you need to look into these matters in order to get rid of these shubuhat to a sufficient extent that your heart is at peace and you can move forward. All right? Likewise, we have entertainment that is in a way positive. We have podcasts with Muslim personalities on, Muslim achievements, on, how, their journey through ilm, or like, I don't know, people from the show business who have converted and, their advice for the youth, etc. This is all fine and beautiful, especially for our youth who are, they have just a very short concentration span to deal with life's serious matters. So these matters are very beneficial to busy them away from something which would be harmful. All right. We have also forms of halal entertainment like jokes and, maybe even cartoons that are within meanings and frameworks that would be considered Islamic. It's better you give that to your kids than a whole bunch of other things. Okay. However, people, we cannot limit ourselves to these things. We have to do the work. We have to make this homework of, I could give you names of people to follow, like Sheikh Tahir, Wyatt, like Muhammad Munir. Yes, because Muhammad Munir, I actually listen to his Q&A a lot because I get a lot of satisfaction when I hear people giving good advice to the context of the way. It makes me happy to hear that, right? In England, we have Abdurrahman Hassan and Tim Humble. All right, these kind of I can give you these names, but the problem is that there is always going to be the shubha of people coming, yeah, but why him and not somebody else? This is why you need also to, if you can go and listen to these people, excellent, do it. But also read Tafsir ibn Kathir, read the Riyadh al-Salihin, because this is going to give you yaqeen. It's going to give you certainty that these people are upon a very positive, useful path that can help you out where you are. Do you understand where I'm coming from, Khalid? Like, you know, I'm going to tell you, follow Fulan, Alan, and Za'taran. And somebody else is going to say, oh, no, follow Al-Jufri, follow, you know, all these guys. And it's his qawl against my qawl, okay? So, you see, you know, it's important, people, that we go to these foundations in order to make the difference on who to follow to help us out in our present day issues. Does that make sense?
No.
You know, I could say follow Khalid Green. Why? You know, somebody else is telling me, you know, to follow the people that he criticizes. Well, okay, you know, it's my call against his call. If I tell you, hi, look, no, the foundations that Tafsir ibn Kathir laid out, you know, what Riyadh al-Salihin is conveying for you, etc. Who is in line with that? Is Khalid Green in line with that? Or, you know, Al-Jufri and these other guys, you know? You know, now it makes sense for you to, okay, I follow Khalid Green, I follow Tahir Wyatt, I follow Muhammad Munir, etc. because I done my homework. I'm not a muqallid anymore, okay? I have taken my deen from a real source, and I'm just using these people to give me the reminder and to give me good advice on down to earth daily matters that I'm facing in my life as a Muslim living in the West.
Jazakallah khairan. Allah yabarak feekum.
Allah
so, Jazakallah khairan, akhi. I guess we'll end it there. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve you. Jazakallah khairan for your time.
I miss you, man. I miss our days in Yemen where you and me be cramped in some public transport, going to Mukalla together, or, you know, going to Makkah together.
SubhanAllah. Maybe we'll have that again in the future when there's some stability in Yemen.
Yes, inshallah ta'ala, brother.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan, akhi. We'll be in touch, bi'idhnillah. Hayyak Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.